This week, No Country for Old Men. Let's get into it. In No Country for Old Men, we follow three main characters, Llewellyn Moss, Anton Chigurh, and Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, in the mysteries of numerous deaths and a missing case of $2 million. All signs point to a classic Western filled with sprawling deserts, cowboy hats, and action, but it seems we end up on a different path.
If the rule you followed brought you to this, of what use was the rule?
Somewhere between monster and man, we find Anton Chigurh tracking down Llewellyn Moss, who has the missing $2 million. While not perfect, Moss is most definitely a good guy in the story. More interestingly, we follow the mystery of Chigurh, never fully understanding his background, origin, or motives, but he is described similarly to a ghost or the boogeyman. For context, in 2014, a team of scientists determined that Chigurh is the single most realistic representation of a psychopath, and his emotional aversion to murder was similar to real-life hitmen the scientists interviewed. We find very early in the film that Chigurh views humans as mere cattle to the slaughter, represented by his brutal weapon of choice. Human life is dispensable to Chigurh, yet it is still difficult to describe him as malicious, because he is like a tornado on the western plains. He represents man's relationship with fate. Chigurh kills 14 people throughout the movie, but we see the most out of the character when he chooses not to kill.
You going to shoot me?
That depends. Do you see me?
All of his actions are dictated by a personal code that is never fully fleshed out,
Hello, Carson.
but all of his kills have a consistent logic to them, usually as the means to an end. Only through ambiguous situations do we see a glimpse into his philosophy. Chigurh uses a coin flip as a method of removing himself from the equation of killing, acting without consciousness, and acting as a hand of fate.
This is the best I can do. Call it.
He embodies chaos. His unpredictability and seeming randomness creates tension in the film. Paradoxically, Chigurh is the most calculated and meticulous character in the story. If we knew what he knew, everything he did would make perfect sense. He creates order out of chaos because he is one of the few who recognize it for what it is. At the end of the day, it wasn't bravery, rationale, or justice that stopped Chigurh. His comeuppance can only be served by fate itself. After all, how do you defeat an idea? The world has its own unknowable plans for us, or maybe no plan at all. On the hunt for Chigurh, we find Sheriff Ed Tom Bell. Uncertainty weighs on Bell in the face of evil. He longs for an earlier time when things were simpler and straightforward, where the good guy understands the bad guy and ultimately brings him to justice.
Oh, that's all right. I laugh myself sometimes. Ain't a whole lot else you can do.
Bell survives the events in the film by sitting on the sidelines of the action. He is always a step behind Chigurh, and a shadow of the standard Western justice-seeking hero of his ideals. He never catches Chigurh or saves Moss because Bell seems out of touch, not just because the world has moved on, but also because it never was what he thought it was. When he thinks about retiring, because he can't keep up with the world, his cousin Ellis reminds him this is nothing new. The world is as it's always been, not as he would like to remember it.
What you got ain't nothing new. This country's hard on people. You can't stop what's coming. It ain't all waiting on you. That's vanity.
At the film's end, the hero doesn't win, the villain gets away, and the final scene is a monologue about dreams by the least explored character.
I knew that whenever I got there, he'd be there. Then I woke up.
And then we cut to black. The movie is over. The film subverts our expectations of the standard action-packed ending in a Western and we find ourselves watching a neo-western instead, filling our heads with thoughts and themes way beyond the familiar tropes we are used to. Yeehaw! What a movie that was! My word! No Country for Old Men is such an incredible movie. The Coen brothers outdid themselves. I'd never seen a Coen brothers film before until I watched this movie, and I'm glad I waited to see this one because, man, actually, you know what? I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the film a lot, but I hated the ending, okay? I've only seen this film once. The other films that I've reviewed, I've seen multiple times. I've only seen this film once, and I hated the ending. It was awful. It was such a letdown because I didn't understand it. But this film sits with you. It marinates. It gets better over time, causes you to think, causes you to watch analysis videos, and continue to look deeper into its meaning. And man, this film unlocks so many doors. I only hit one or two of the big psychological themes in this movie. And there's just a whole nother world out there. A whole nother world that I've yet to unpack, honestly. That there's still more. So many things. I didn't even touch on Sheriff Ed Tom Bell's dream at the end. And there is so much complexity to that and so many layers to this movie that are just still yet to be peeled back by me. And I can't wait to do it. I'm going to watch this movie again. I'm going to watch it again soon because it's that good. And I know I spoiled it in the video, but if you haven't seen it, still go see it because I don't think you will appreciate this movie until you've seen it and seen it multiple times. So, check it out. And next week, going from the western... Wow, it's peanut butter stick. We're going from the western plains to the inner city and watching Half Nelson. That's the name of the film, right? Half Nelson? The one that we were watching? Ryan Gosling? Half Nelson. Unless I change it in the edit. And that might be different. Until then, though, we'll find out together what we're watching next week. Until then, sit back, relax, and I'll catch you next time. Peace. Peanut butter.